I don't think they would literally chop off their fucking stars' heads. They're gonna have to give Conor McGregor all the power now that this happened to John Jones.
The UFC's already too big, man. No matter what, they're stars. If you're a champion, you're a star. And when you defend your title, you're just a bigger star. Whoever's holding the title is a star, legitimately. So, like, it doesn't matter if someone gets knocked off because there's always another star. I'm not excited about him, but if I'm going to watch a fight in his division, then I'm going to watch Demetrius Johnson. Okay. Like, he's a star in his division. It's just I'm not interested in them kind of fights.
Okay, so here's the thought. This is kind of changing the topic. So like Demetrius Johnson, you'd watch if you're gonna watch his fights, you'd watch him. Would you watch his division? Yeah, if you're gonna watch his division's fight, you'd watch him. Would you watch Demetrius Johnson like trying to go up and fight the next champion because he?
That builds interest. That's a headline. It's like, oh, okay, we gotta watch this.
Okay, yeah, okay. That was a side topic, but yeah, man. So my thoughts are like. You said the UFC's too big and stuff, but it's still like John Jones is a crossover star. Like he's the dude everybody knows. You know, I just feel like they don't want to give Conor. They wouldn't want to put all of the onus on Conor when he's already talking about fuck the UFC. He said fuck the UFC. Right. I'm making my own shit.
This goes back to when you said the boxing undercard puts you to sleep. Boxing it's our generation, I guess. Boxing is just we're not that interested in it. UFC is what we watch, and I feel like it's already arrived. Like maybe Bellator is kind of trying to be their rival and creep up, but either way, it's still the MMA bracket. Like if we're gonna watch some fighting, it's gonna be UFC. We're not even this Canelo Triple G shit. I'm never watching none of their fights. I hear their names, but it's like I'm not even interested in watching any of that shit. Boxing is boring to me. Like it is what it is.
I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't know how you felt really about boxing because you watched the whole undercard and stayed awake for it. So I didn't know if you were.
Well, no. See, and I kept it on the TV just because I didn't want to lose my good stream. The TV was muted. Like I wasn't that interested in that. No.
Hey, he had a good. Okay, so that's a good point. So you're not. I'm glad you brought up Canelo Triple G because I would have forgot about it, and that's a big topic. I would have forgot about it, bro, because I'm not interested in it.
I'm literally not gonna watch it. I'm not that like. And then what? Who fights who next? Like, well, when someone fighting Pacquiao or was Mayweather coming back or like who? I don't want to watch it. Like it is, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think boxing. I mean, there's people in professionals that say boxing's a dying sport because Pacquiao just lost to somebody you probably never heard of. His name was like Jeff Horn. Pacquiao just lost to that guy. Then
maybe they're trying to make Jeff Horn a star, but even then, Jeff Horn versus Canelo, Jeff Horn versus Triple G, like does that match up? And even if it does, who cares? Still, man, like all our dads and them, I guess. Maybe you're gonna watch it with your dad or something.
And now, see, I'll tell you who cares. It's exactly. It's the older generation and the people who watched it. You know, like our cousin Tony, his dad was a boxing fan. So Tony.
Same time, Tony's not watching Canelo Triple G. Stop right now.
You're probably right. But if he would have watched more boxing with his dad, if he would have watched, because, Tony was still more.
And that's what I just said. Oh, maybe you're going to watch it with your dad. But if you're not with your dad, like, okay, again, maybe you watch it more. Maybe you're a fan of boxing now. But there's not too many people like you. There's not.
Even most of the people's kids, our generation, is only watching it with their parents or with their coaches, because there's a lot of MMA people who train MMA still study boxing because it's something you need for boxing, so like Steph Curry might know the best shooter that's only a shooter, and we wouldn't give a fuck because they're not an overall basketball player, but Steph Curry be like, no, I know the shooters in the league, so I'm just saying MMA.
Steph would never say that. Steph knows how cold he is, man.
No, I'm just saying he would he probably appreciates the Kyle Korvers more than the average.
Yeah, he's probably gonna appreciate. He's probably he's gonna say that's for up to you guys to decide shit like that. But I think in the inside he know. Well, yeah, he might not come out and say it. You're right about that, but.
And so my point just is that because there's some people who train MMA and stuff that listen to this. That's probably even if some people are just fans and watch this stuff for entertainment, but there's actually people who train MMA who are fans of MMA, but they're also fans of boxing because they use boxing. Now they've got a boxing coach. They're probably close with their boxing coach, and their boxing coach loves boxing. He's not the wrestling coach.
I don't even know how we got here. I'm not slighting anybody who watches boxing. I'm just saying it's boring. There aren't too many people in our generation that are going to watch it. So that's why I was just saying the UFC doesn't have to worry about the stars going away. People just like talking about that, man. There's always going to be more stars.
What about in boxing?
Boxing's that's the old man's game, though. It is what it is.
So yeah,
I mean, well, that's the thing. The fact that they allowed MMA to happen, you used to not be able to do this shit, and that's why if you wanted to watch fighting, you had to watch boxing. Yep. Now that this shit is so big, it's like, why would I watch people just use hands?
I'm glad you're saying that. See, I've always been team MMA. You're not even really team MMA because you do watch MMA, and like as a fan, you would rather. Well, that's good to hear. You'd rather watch MMA than boxing because that was my thought. I don't want to just watch the hand thing. That's how I feel, but I didn't know if that's just because I've became team MMA or what. So it's good to see actual people other people have that thought. But my thing was, well, how we got there, it was just because I was saying who's actually interested in like Canelo Triple G. It's the old guard and also people who like still like some MMA people are because they train MMA. Most of the people who are on Team MMA that still appreciate boxing are the people who train MMA and not just the fans. Us as the fans are usually like, no thank you boxing. But there's some people on Team MMA who are still like, no, I'm still gonna watch Canelo Triple G, and they're talking about it. So that's why I'm glad you brought it up. But I honestly,
even then you gotta think about the people who train boxing, and maybe they're just gonna want highlights for some techniques because maybe they don't like boxing.
Hey, that's very true, and I think what you said about how MMA wasn't around back then, it wasn't allowed, it was looked at as barbaric. That's why boxing was really the closest thing.
And then you have people like Mike Tyson and people who would literally get in there and throw him. It used to be boring. It seemed like there's so much if we're pit-patting, feeling each other out, trying to last to the 12th round. We barely get together, and the judge break it up. It's like they weren't even doing nothing. Like that shit's boring, man.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of faults to that it's 12 rounds, it's 36 damn minutes, it's 12 rounds. There's so many, like the clinching is so weird to me. But I mean, and that I'm biased there. But the Canelo Triple G fight, would you watch it? Like, let's say you had an alarm set for the main event. I don't know if it was an event to go to somewhere. I wouldn't want to be there for the undercard, but I mean, I do think I would watch the actual Canelo Triple G fight if I knew the time that fight started. If there was no undercard, it was just Canelo Triple G's coming on at 9 o'clock, I would probably tune in. But if you're telling me tune in at 6 p.m. and then you don't know when Canelo and Triple G are walking out, so you got to sit through that, I just don't want to really. Oh, and that's a night of a UFC fight. It's a fight night. But yeah, what were you gonna?
Well, so maybe if I had a sitter and like people was going out to the bar, we'd go watch it or something. But if I'm at home, I'd rather be taking a nap or on Destiny 2 or just something like that. Because I mean, even after the fight, like who are you gonna talk about it with? Like, did you see who won? Yeah, okay. Unless it's a big knockout, it's literally a boring fight.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe if you had like some boxing peers, like you knew somebody was gonna ask you tomorrow at work, like, hey man, you watched the fight? You might watch the highlights. But I mean, yeah. So I'm just not too interested in that.